there! If you are looking for what to expect when moving to Fort Walton Beach or living in Fort Walton Beach, you are in the right place. If you want to see different areas, if you want to know about the best areas, shopping, education, restaurants, traffic, politics, we'll even talk about that, community, we've got it all here coming up in this video, so stick around. What's up, everybody? This is Tim Whittemore here in the beautiful Destin-Fort Walton Beach area here on the Emerald Coast. If this is your first time to our channel, we do tons and tons of videos about everything you need to know about moving to our area. So make sure to go ahead and hit that subscribe button, click that little bell so you're notified every single time we got a new video coming out. Now, honestly, we get tons of phone calls, emails, texts from people wanting to move here, want some information, and need some help. And I want to remind you all that it's never too early to reach out. Either myself or one of my awesome partner agents have the expertise to sit down with you via Zoom, in person, over the phone, whatever you're comfortable with, to explain exactly what you need to know and to go over what's important to you. Moreover, what things you won't necessarily anticipate. So make sure to reach out for us, give us a call, text, email, shoot us a little paper airplane, whatever you need to do. We got your back when moving or investing here in the area. Okay, let's get into it. Let's talk about Fort Walton Beach. So how did this place become really popular? How did it even get on the map? Well, it's right down the street from Destin. So everybody thinks of the Destin area. It's the destination spot. Yeah, I got you. People will come down to vacation. Fort Walton Beach is right there. It's kind of got everything without being in the tourist destination. A big part about that as well is Eglin Air Force Base. We have a lot of military and military support personnel that come in to work in this area and to support that infrastructure, as well as Hurlburt Field. You also have the 7th Group, Duke Field, all those different things that are around the Fort Walton Beach area. That's what that area supports, right? So since this is a real estate channel, let's talk about Fort Walton Beach and let's talk about housing. So what type of housing is available here? Well, we got all different types. You've got your single family homes, your detached single family homes, townhomes, condos, trailers that are littered out through here. And it's really interesting because our area is what I like to call very eclectic. And when I say eclectic, because it's right there on the bay, right? You could be in downtown Fort Walton Beach on Choctaw Bay and have a property about 2.1 million across the street from a $300,000 home, and then a couple blocks away from a trailer park. Just all over the place. Now, since I've been here in the decade that I've been living here, a little bit over that, things have changed, and we're starting to see a lot more new construction build up because we really had those unicorn years in 2020 to 2022 where everything was going crazy in real estate. So we had a lot of people buy up certain things, flipping them, tearing them down, putting new construction up. It's really made it a lot better from one of the older homes. However, I want you to know that we do have homes from the 50s that are still kicking around here. We do have brand new homes as well. We've got luxury properties. We got everything all over the place, but it's really kind of nice. So you may step into a property that was still looks like it was built in the 70s and never been upgraded. You'll go into that same structure that was built in the 70s and have it completely upgraded to the 2020s upgrades, right? And inside of that too, you have a lot of different neighborhoods throughout the Fort Walton Beach area that are favorable for different reasons. And a really popular one that people like to go is Kenwood. And the reason is the community. They have sidewalks, but those are older homes, also a mix of homes that are on the bayou, on the water. You'll also get the other community homes, but most of those were built in the 70s and 80s. So you get a lot of rehabs and things like that throughout those areas. There are other ones as well. It's really popular down in kind of southern, eastern side where we have Ferry Park. So if you're looking on Google Maps or whatever maps that you use, you see Ferry Park. That area and south is really, really popular as well. There are really great areas as well for starter homes. Call that Green Acres because it's a lower price. Those homes are a little bit older, a little bit smaller on smaller lots, but you want to be a homeowner and it wants to be affordable. Those things can go pretty quick as well. Green Acres is located off of Green Acres Boulevard, and it's kind of in between where Hurlburt Destin-Fort field is, all the way up to where you would get to Eglin. So these are some great neighborhoods that you can go check out. There's many, many more, and it's just pretty great to be in there. So let's talk about home prices here in 2024. We're halfway through 2024 as of the recording of this video. So what do you get? All right, for single family homes, as detached single family homes, the median price, which is the biggest cluster of prices as it's looked over the past year, is about $365,000. That's your median area, right? The lowest one that we saw was about $75,000. Now that was a trailer and a small one like that, but you can still get in and purchase something around that. And of course our high for the last year was 2.37 mil. And that was a beautiful home that was sitting on the water, okay? Now we also have townhomes or attached units. Could be a duplex, you know, an apartment looking building, but we call those townhomes, right? And townhome median here in Fort Walton Beach was $259,950. Now that was a low all the way down to $135,000 and a high all the way up to $750,000. Now that $750,000 was a big unit, also looking over the Intercoastal Waterway, so that's why it was at that point. We do have condos. Now condos also are on Okaloosa Island. That's how you pronounce that, Okaloosa Island. That's where everybody kind of comes into. Now I did factor in that there are other condos in neighborhoods like Shalimar and Finisterre. There are condos all throughout the bay as well that you can get into for a relatively low price. But I got to give you the numbers, right? So the median area for condos was around $405,000. Now that was as low as $75,000, but as high as $1.4 million, which is a penthouse suite that I saw in one of those beachfront condos down in Okaloosa Island. So there's the numbers for 2024. So that's your housing situation, but let's get into the next part. So we'll talk about education for the old kiddos, right? So if you're moving here, you got your family, I know education is pretty important. And Fort Walton Beach is probably one of the top 3 places that if you're gonna move to this area that you would go. Now, most of the people that are really, really worried about the education and being the absolute best in the area, they're gonna go to Niceville. Niceville's got one of the highest rankings here in the entire panhandle for high schools. However, when you look at a close second, Fort Walton Beach High is right behind there. So there's 2 aspects when we look for putting our kids into school, and we have public and private schools. So the more popular areas, you have Fort Walton Beach High, and Bruner is the middle school. And those are the ones that rank a little bit above their competitors, which is above that, which is the other school off of Racetrack, which is Choctawhatchee. I don't know if I'm saying that right. Choctaw, it's the short version for that, and Pryor, which are right across the street from each other. Now they don't rank as well. However, as I always say in these videos, if you really want to know what people are saying about them versus this arbitrary ranking system that's out there, go on to places like niche.com and read the reviews. And the reviews are from the kids, and sometimes they're from the parents as well. But go through there and see what people are saying, and it will really give you a good idea of what that school is all about. Now, the private schools, there's a couple of different ones that most people send their kids to. So Liza Jackson actually used to be the old YMCA, but they converted it over to the new private school. And the other one is Calvary. Now, there are a couple of other ones that are based off of religious institutions as well. However, those are the most 2 popular ones that most of the kids are going to. Now, most of them are going to take them K through 8th grade, and then they get to go to a certain high school. Things to think about. Now, there are also adult educations as well in Northwest Florida. It has a university in the Fort Walton Beach area, in the Niceville area as well. Moving on to shopping. So a lot of people like to live in this area because of the shopping. They've got all the big brands that you want to go to. So they've got a Walmart. I mean, are you really a town if you don't have a Walmart? Maybe. Anyway, we also have Sam's Club, which is a big place. Like a lot of people will come in from Destin or wherever to go into Sam's Club because it's one of those specific type of stores that people can buy in bulk. The grocery stores that people will go to, Publix is kind of, we'll call it, the high end in Fort Walton Beach. If you want a more high end grocery store, you'll have to go into Destin. They do have a Whole Foods out there, and there is another market, and the name eludes me right now. If you remember, go ahead and leave it in the comments for me. Now, the other grocery stores that are in the area, we have have Winn-Dixie, and we also have Aldi's. Not obviously as big of a selection as you're gonna find in Publix and Winn-Dixie, but it's got some good stuff in there for good prices as well. And that's from Germany is Aldi's, if I remember correctly. And if you have access to the military installations, of course you have the BX and the commissary, both of which you can get access to either in from Fort Walton, Shalimar, Mary Esther, which is kind of part of Fort Walton Beach. You can be able to get on base and get your stuff there. Okay, so recreation, what can you do in Fort Walton Beach? So we also have big item that people want to come to is Okaloosa Island, right? People think of it as kind of, well, tourists. Think of it more like West Destin, but it really is Fort Walton Beach is that Okaloosa Island. And the reason is because it's got the beach, it's got that beach atmosphere, it's got a little boardwalk out there where everybody kind of filters into. There's a restaurant, there's a nightclub, a lot of the tourist trap places in there, volleyball courts and everything else, and the pier. This is where everybody kind of filters into. There's also a golfarium that's there. You can go check out some of the sea life there. There's a ton of stuff to do right there on Okaloosa Island. That's why a lot of the tourists will come in and stay. Even at the worst spot, you're maybe 15 minutes away from the beach. Of course, you have water sports. You can go rent pontoons, jet skis, whatever. There's a marina down there if you want to be part of that and just rent boats and be part of the memberships. It's a little expensive, but I mean, you're renting boats, so probably better than owning them. And of course, now in downtown Fort Walton Beach, there's tons of food. There's restaurants that you can go check out. There's bars. You also have the Landing, which is the public park that they have out there. Especially during the summertime, they'll have concerts every Friday night. They'll have fireworks. There's different festivals. One of my favorites is Craftathon because it's drinking beers and having a good time. But they have all these different events that are happening throughout the year. And a cool part about that, if you stuck with me this long through the video, is that here in 2024, there are initiatives to revamp that entire area. They are actually going to build more of an amphitheater down there to which even boats can kind of come in from the intercoastal waterway and anchor in and watch the concerts, as well as build out what's already there, like the hill that goes up there. They're going to build some seating. The plans look really, really cool. However, there's also a ton of different things that they're going to be doing, and they're putting a new bridge in between Okaloosa Island and downtown Fort Walton Beach, and we don't know exactly what that's going to look like, but we believe that a lot of that traffic is going to be routed up north, so that's going to leave a lot more of downtown Fort Walton Beach to develop and to actually have less traffic and more pedestrian traffic, and for it to grow out to something really, really cool. Us locals, those of us that are living here are like, man, we've been waiting for this for a while. Super excited to see that. So if you're looking to move here and invest in here, these are some things you get to look forward to. Okay, so there's also lots of restaurants. There's way too many for me to go over, but I'm gonna just tell you my personal favorites for the area. So we do have Old Bay Steamer, that's on Okaloosa Island. It is my favorite by far seafood restaurant. They got a big old bucket that's got lobster and all sorts of amazing things in there. Love that place. If you move up more towards where Walmart is off of Beale, there's a great Mexican place called Mahente. Now, yeah, you're gonna see things like Pedro's and all the other chain restaurants that are over there, and those are delicious, don't get me wrong. Peppers is a great one in Shalimar. However, if you're looking for something that had a great food truck that did so well that they were able to go ahead and get a shop, this is a place to go. So you want some authentic stuff, go check that out. For breakfast, in lunch, Neighborhood Cafe is a great one that's off of Racetrack, one of our personal favorites that we like to go to. They finally did get some Indian food in town. It's the only shop, but it's still pretty darn good, okay? It's called Holly Indian off of Eglin Parkway. For the view, and the drinks, which are a little pricey, you can head down to the Gulf, which is on Okaloosa Island. It's on the other side of where everything else is at. It's like this container city that they built out with all sorts of different seating. The environment itself is worth going out. Food is pretty good. It's mostly seafood, as you would expect, but it's a pretty good area. For pizza, I'm from New York originally, so I'm really picky when it comes to my pizza. However, there is one off of kind of in Mary Esther Cutoff called Wiley's, and Wiley's is the best New York style pizza I think you're gonna find in Fort Walton Beach. And even though this is technically in Shalimar, there's a really great Greek restaurant that I frequent a lot called Aegean. There's 3 locations, but I think the best one is right there in Shalimar. Mar. It's the original one, but Aegean Greek food is probably on point. So those are just a couple of them. There's so many more for me to cover. However, those are my key favorites. So definitely go check them out. Let's talk about traffic in Fort Walton Beach, what you can expect. So funny enough, as I'm shooting this video, today is July 4th, 2024. Woo! Yeah, I'm staying inside. The week and weekend of July 4th is by far the worst traffic you can possibly imagine in Fort Walton Beach. Why? Because Highway 98 goes right down the center of downtown Fort Walton Beach. Everybody's filtering into Destin. Everybody's filtering into the beach because we got the fireworks in Destin. They've got all sorts of different things going on. It is a happening place, but getting there, oh my God, it takes so long to get there. So the traffic, tourist traffic from 98 trying to get over that bridge, it's terrible. And we still are in the midst of a 5-year project for them fixing the bridge. So it's even worse now because of the bridge construction. I don't understand why, because they didn't close down any lanes, but whatever. But they are going to be fixing that, hopefully, trying to figure out that. But yes, in the beginning of July is the worst traffic by far. And then we start to see it taper off towards mid to late July and kind of go out. But what I will say in general, as soon as spring break starts, that's when the tourists start to kind of come back into town. And don't get me wrong, we love you guys when you come in, you know, it's what brings commerce, right? We just don't have the infrastructure built out to handle the volume of people coming through and going through Okaloosa Island. So my suggestion to you in the summertime, get your Waze, get your Google Maps, and plan accordingly to how long it's actually going to take you to get there. That's what I'll say for traffic. The good news about Fort Walton Beach is that you actually have alternative routes to get to certain places versus just direct route. One thing that you may not notice if you've never been around an area that has lots of water is that you just can't go straight to those areas. And the highways just don't make sense because they got to go around those or have to create a bridge to go over it. And it's frustrating because you have to go up and around for an alternative route to get to your destination. But at least in Fort Walton Beach, it's open enough. There's enough area that there's alternative routes. At least you can get to where you need to go. All right, we'll talk about the labor areas. What are most people doing in this area? The biggest job with the biggest money coming in is the military. And it's maybe not just the guys and gals wearing uniform, it also has a lot to do with their support infrastructure. So those are the contractors and people that support the programs that support the military. So anything that supports the military infrastructure is a big, big employer for this area. It's one of the biggest for Fort Walton Beach. The next is service. So the restaurants, the seasonal work that they have here for all the vacationers coming through, real estate agents, all these different things, those are the next biggest portion, and for good reason, for the Fort Walton Beach area. And as you see in most towns, the third biggest part of labor is our medical that we have here with a lot of different specialties in the medical department here in the Fort Walton Beach area, as well as there's the Fort Walton Beach Hospital and a few clinics throughout the area. As far as politics here in Okaloosa County, specifically in Fort Walton Beach, expect that you're going to get a more conservative crowd. And I found this, you know, as a military guy, 14 years active duty and going all around the area. Most military towns are kind of that way anyway, but they're a lot more tolerant. And I would also say that because we're more in the south, right, just below Alabama, it kind of blends in with that. There's a lot more conservative values, but I would also say 2024 is an election year, so you know, maybe a little bit less this year, but for the most part, people are very tolerant of your political views and whatever. And of course, you'll see Trump flags and you'll see the Biden-Harris bumper stickers, but I don't see anybody getting out in fist fights over things anymore. So I think they just keep it online. But just expect that as you move here. And as far as the community, I'll wrap it up with this. As far as the community that you're going to see in Fort Walton Beach, for the most part, you're going to see this mix. When I did my travels, I've been all around the world. I love this place the most. Why? It's because it really speaks to me as a person and what I value. However, it's the community that kept me here. In New York, people weren't all that friendly, or they didn't realize how. They're very selfish. They're just miserable, all right? I know I used to be one of them. And if you're watching this, you're like, yeah, I don't know. But in the back of your mind, you're like, yeah, I get it. But when you come here to this area of Florida, it's interesting, mainly because you have a lot of people that come in from the military, realize that this place exists, and are like, man, I think I'm gonna settle here. Case in point, right? You have all these different types of people that are coming in and out all the time. Additionally, saying to that, you have vacationers coming in, and you don't meet a lot of angry vacationers. Typically, people are here to have a good time and they're super relaxed. So you get that added benefit when the vacationers are in town. You're in a tourist area, like it's a beautiful place to go. So that also puts people in a good mood, just take a walk down the beach or whatever. Because of everything else, being so close to Alabama, Georgia, it kind of brings in those southern core values down to this area. So people really act that way as well. And it also mixes with, we're Floridians here, so we have that mix of the crazy Floridian all together. So if you can imagine what that actually is, that's what you're gonna find here in Fort Walton Beach and most of the surrounding areas that we have here. And it's pretty cool to be part of that community, in my specific case, and my team's here to service it. So that's all that I do have for you for what to expect when living in Fort Walton Beach. If you have any questions, please leave it in the comments below. If you're lucky enough to be listening to us via audio, there's going to be a phone number coming up after this. Please reach out via text and we'll be able to answer those questions as you come through. Other than that, if you are moving here or thinking of investing, you got some questions, need some help, give us a call, text, email. Myself or one of my awesome partner agents here will be able to help you out, or any of our team members, to start you on that journey. But again, my name's Tim Whittemore. I'm with LPT Realty. We'll see you in our next video. Take care.